Western Spring Television. Ours it is.
Thank you very much for joining us today. It's a happy day. And of course, the Holy Bible says this is the day that the Lord has made, so we don't have any choice than to be glad and rejoice in it. Whatever is happening, today is Friday, we tone it down a bit. But then if it's about achievement, if it's about going for your goal, don't tone it down. Keep pushing, keep firing, and keep growing.
Yeah.
Just like
the First Lady
said. Femi Oyesoji is my name, and you're welcome to Morning Spring today.
All right, talking about toning it down, I mean, it's Friday. If you have worked all week, you should get time to rest because what didn't be fire, I would like to say it in our Nigerian parlance here. So get time to rest this weekend so that you can go again next week. Yeah. My name is Evelyn Ohiolei. Thank you so much for joining us on the last edition for Morning Spring for this week. We appreciate your time as always. Thank you.
That's right. And talking about taking a rest, that would be after work. For those that do regular work of Monday to Friday. For some persons, their work is
the weekday starts on Friday.
At the weekend. And then it is what it is. At this time, we are beaming live on channel 190 on StarTimes DTT, and of course on our YouTube channel at Western Spring Television. You can also follow us on all our social media platforms, on Facebook, on Instagram, and on X as well, so that you be a part of our program here. And the aim of this program is to have very frank and deep conversations about issues of public importance. Of course, we started with the headlines as seen in our major dailies, and that's exactly what we are going to do today. And, you know, all week, it has been from one insecurity issue, especially stemming from what happened in Delta State over the weekend. You know, not even weekend. I think it happened last Thursday night. And then the news filtered in over the weekend. It's been from, you know, one person saying something to another one saying this about the dastardly act of killing of military officers and personnel, which stands condemned, by the way. But the investigations we learned are started. But many persons are saying, Evelyn in Okwama, that there were meetings that were held there yesterday, that the governor was there, maybe yesterday or 2 days ago, but that community, according to reports, have been cut off from the other communities. Now nobody can come in, nobody can go out, and is leaving some of the people there to be hungry. You know, there is no commerce, no business is being done, nothing is being brought in, nothing is being brought out. We understand that the military are shutting that place down to go after the perpetrators, but what happens to the daily living of other inhabitants? You know, the few ones, because we learned the village is almost deserted, but the few ones that are remaining, you know, life has not been the same.
Well, some of us didn't expect less because the military were talking tough that they will not rest until the culprits are found. And that particular community was where a major massacre, if I can use that word, permit me to use that word, you know, took place. So, you know, it's a crime scene, so to speak. And then
the whole of the village?
Well, it's up to the military to actually look into that, because if the culprits were, according to them, were suspected to be from the community, then they have to actually use the community, the entire community, as the crime scene. So, but then, like you said, we also have to consider those people who are innocent and are residents or indigenes of that particular community, so they do not have to pay for what they didn't do.
And it's looking like every Okwama indigene or, you know, some people living there are suspect. That's the way it stands. It looks right now. The governor had it called a meeting of the traditional rulers yesterday in Asaba, and he spoke vehemently, told them, we will do what we have to do from our end, but no traditional ruler should serve as a cover for criminals. None of you should do that. In fact, it was very categorical, and he told them any traditional ruler that is caught harboring these criminals, this suspect, will face the full wrath of the law, and he will make sure that happens. But then it is what it is. As it stands condemned, just like I said, other persons, I think life can still continue. It might not be as usual, but then it shouldn't look like it is hell already. Hell has happened in that event. That's why it stands condemned. But then maybe other persons that are there should still have life to live for themselves while the investigation is still going on. Many things happening. We are hearing that, in Kankara, the Kankara boys that were abducted the other time, maybe some of them are being, brought back. It's all meat, especially in Kaduna State, from Chikun to Kajuru to, Kuriga and the rest of it. Not talking about what has been happening in Borno State, pocket of issues for Nigeria. We overcome. Hopefully, we'll go on this break. When we'll come back, we head straight to what the papers are saying. Stay with us. All right, we'll start with the Vanguard. The Vanguard newspaper for this morning as its bold headline, Killing of Soldiers. Okwama women, children trapped in forest for 6 days. Spoke about something similar. That some of them who ran away because of reprisal attack have been stuck. They can't come out of the forest. They can't continue to go into the forest. It is what it is. A couple of headlines there. Neighboring communities refuse to accept Okwama residents. You know why already? Starvation looms in Igbomoturu in Bayelsa over military siege. Residents can't farm or fish. Man abandons wife, escapes with 2 children. Obrewari wants traditional rulers against shielding suspect. Killing of 17 soldiers, attack on Nigeria's sovereignty. That's the view of the federal government. Governors condemned killing, observe minute silence in honor of slain personnel. Okwama killings could snowball into bigger conflict. General Oladewaji retired. Independent probe of Delta killing will indict VIPs. That's coming from ex-DSS boss, Ejiofor. And then the picture there has Tinubu receiving Meta delegation. Northern senators decry spate of kidnapping, violence in region. Australia announces tough visa rules for Nigerian students and others. State police, only 16 states submitted presentation. That's coming from the NEC, National Economic Council. NLC leaders took worker salaries during invasion. Abure is becoming messy at the headquarters of the Labour Party, especially with a back and forth of the Labour leaders or Labour Party leaders and the NLC president, Joe Ajero. The ongoing African Games, Brume defends African Games long jump gold. He's been, gold and gold and gold and brightness and light for Nigerian contingent at the African Games in Ghana, and the slander on Ghana continues. Edo Guba, 72 hours to go, 10 parties nominate candidates, INEC. Subsidy removal, 1 billion liters of petrol smuggled out. Federal government again. Over 15 killed. Residents flee as headers attack Benue communities. Not again. Manufacturers' income tax falls 6.85% of 145 billion in Q4 2023. Very interesting, take here. And, on a lighter note, Mr. and Mrs. saying, I know the Naira has appreciated. Look, don't tamper with my allowance or there will be trouble. And then Mr. replies, but dear, you notified me when the Naira depreciated and there was no trouble. Interesting. Ladi Jalabi, thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, Femi.
Thank you for joining us again.
It's always a pleasure.
Where do we start this morning? Let's start from the Okwama story. A couple of riders, killing of 17 soldiers, attack on Nigeria's sovereignty. federal government. And man abandons wife, escapes with 2 children. Starvation looms in Igbomoturu in Bayelsa over military siege. Neighboring communities refuse to accept Okwama residents. And Okwama women, children trapped in forest for 6 days. Where do we go from here?
Well, Femi, for every right-thinking Nigerian, you will condemn the attack on military men. It is an attack on our sovereignty, and like I mentioned the other day, that you do that, you paint our military in such a bad light, as if they are not well trained. But on the flip side of that, I feel the military should handle this intelligently. If they do, they will be sending a bigger signal to criminals anywhere in Nigeria. No, wherever they will be sending the signal that wherever you are hidden, we are going to fish you out. The reality is, some of us saw this coming, that there's going to be reprisal attack, there's going to be siege on the community. As a matter of fact, I was watching one of the national TVs 2 days ago, yesterday, and there are reports that even journalists were not allowed into that community. So it means the military want to undo it their way, and that would not mean too well for the community. Because in reality, Femi, I can tell you for free that a couple of those criminals would have gone, they know what they did. It will be suicidal for them to stay back. So the implication is we are going to be punishing the people that are not corporate in this case. So I would appreciate if the military can handle it more intelligently. I will appreciate if the traditional rulers in those communities cooperate.
Yeah.
I will appreciate even with the locals, if the locals can cooperate with the military, the police, even the governor of the state, let them do the needful. I will love it.
There should be synergy
of course,
between
yes.
every stakeholder.
If we've not seen that before, this is the best time. We see it. 16, 17
even the
men.
police are complaining that they can't even access.
Yes, it was yesterday I watched that. The commissioner of police said even they are not allowing his men to enter the community, and they are saddled with handling civil issues like that. So I think the military needs to actually soft pedal a bit. Let us handle this thing intelligently. Let us show criminals anywhere in Nigeria that, see, we are capable of handling you guys, and wherever you are heading, we are going to fish you out.
That even neighboring communities refuse to accept Okwama residents. They are not like outcasts.
Yeah, of course. The fears
Don't come here, please.
The fear of if you come here, the military might come around. You saw the news of women being trapped on farm, children, starvation and all. There is a limit to how this thing can last. And
one writer here says, man abandons wife, escaped with 2 children.
Of course.
Meaning, madam, take care of yourself.
Of course, yes.
But you wouldn't blame such a man, because possibly he went for the most vulnerable, the children. Possibly the wife is an adult. And
it's this news we are talking about is giving me the picture of like a war situation.
I think it is
a war situation, and it's sad that Bayelsa and Delta states are caught in this web now. And
and every adjoining communities have been shut down.
And in war situations like that, women and children are the most vulnerable. Because even the ripple effect of a man dying shows the woman becomes a widow. The children becomes fatherless. So it's a bad case altogether, and I think we should just handle it more intelligently.
I agree. That's what the Vanguard has for us.
All right, let's check up what the Punch has for us today. 16 governors back state police submit reports to FG. FG awaits 20 state police reports, says NEC presidency source insists on all governors want state police. Incorporate state police into constitutional amendments, governors tell National Assembly. Smoke out illegal miners, FG tells 2,200 new mining marshals. Sad news coming out from Benue State. Squaws killed as bandits sack 9 Benue communities. Commuters fear gridlock as construction resumes on Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. And still on the Punch newspaper this morning, foreign trips. FG may save over 5 billion naira quarterly. Top corner of the front page of the Punch newspaper today. NLC wants minimum wage by April. Governors warn against bloated demand. States owe FG 1.7 trillion naira budget loans, and naira appreciates to 1,382 to a dollar. Presidency cautions speculators. So I'm just going to take a liturgy on this one here in the Punch newspaper. You know, we got a directive from the president yesterday that any minister, any member of his cabinet that wants to travel on any official duty must first come seek approval from him, because he is banning all foreign trips except you come seek approval from him 2 weeks before the set deadline. And here on the Punch newspaper, giving us that foreign trips, FG may save over 5 billion naira quarterly, but it's going to be for the next 3 months. Nigerians have also asked, why 3 months? Why not indefinitely? Your thoughts?
Well, it's funny. It's funny that some of the policies of the president, at times you want to, after a few weeks, you want to question. You made this statement. Why are you doing something against it? You remember sometimes last year the president came out to say, okay, in a bid to reduce the number of people that travel with the president, we are going to reduce the number to this. The vice president, we are going to reduce the number to this and that. And just his most recent trip, more than double of the number he claimed traveled with, including his 2 sons. So he who wants to come to justice,
equity,
and he who wants to come to equity must come with a clean hand. It is not a 1 million naira trip if the president is traveling. That is why you will never see the president of America travel anyhow. You hardly see them, because for him to travel alone, you have more than 150 personnel certify his travel. And you have the Eagle, or what do they call their fighter jet, travel with the Air Force One. And also we have the Nigerian Air Force One that the president traveled with. You know how much it costs for him to go on a trip. So what I'm saying in essence is, if you first show the attitude. This year alone, we know how many trips the president have gone to. And also, it is funny that some of these ministers, I saw one of them said they want to go and do a meeting. In fact, two particular ministries in Nigeria traveled to London to go and sign MOU from Abuja to London. 2 ministries, not a ministry in Nigeria and a ministry in the UK. 2 ministries of the federal government of Nigeria flew from Abuja on taxpayers' money. We rent an hotel in London to sign an MOU. What sense does that make?
They won't sleep outside now.
They won't also sleep outside. No, of course, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Something you could have done in Abuja. You won't spend 1 million naira.
But I don't think that is the main purpose for which they traveled to London. It was just by the side.
It is not by the side. These people spend. You saw a particular ministry that budgeted money that actually gave flight money from Abuja to Kogi State. Kogi that doesn't have airport. Does it even make sense that you want to fly from? Even if you are driving from Abuja to what's the capital of Kogi now? Lokoja. It's less than 2 hours. So for a flight, it won't take 15 minutes. So what I'm saying in essence is, if the president wants to come to justice or come to equity, he must come with a clean hand. He first show the attitude. We saw the entourage that followed the vice president to Ivory Coast to watch the Super Eagles. We don't need all those. We want to travel? Why don't we cut?
But this is mainly for ministers.
What I'm saying is, he that wants his ministers to cut traveling should also check if it is very, very important that you travel, then cut the number of... I've told you about Magufuli of Tanzania. He came into power a few months after he came into power.
Are you saying the trips the president has had since the beginning of the year were unimportant? We know that he traveled to the States
visit to Paris,
to market.
The private visit to France, what economic importance is that to Nigeria? He traveled on our money.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, the King Charles in UK, when he was diagnosed of cancer, they came out to say, okay, the king is this, the king is out. All we had is president is traveling on a private visit to Paris.
And private remains private.
And private remains private. And the moment you become the president, whichever way you use in becoming the president, you don't have a private life again. Nigerians must know what happens to you. But you are saying you are going to Paris on a private visit, and he got to Paris, some governor even left their state to go and greet him.
So you don't trust that direction?
I don't. And as a matter of fact, what makes it worse is for 3 months. Why don't we ban it for life? What are we doing with all this? We have ambassadors here. We have representatives in those countries. Why don't you allow those ones represent us?
All right. We wait and see if this directive, if Mr. President will walk the talk. That will be all from The Punch.
Next is Guardian. The Guardian newspaper. Land grabbers, speculators wreak havoc on citizens and investment. This is one situation that naturally one would think maybe it happens in Lagos and Abuja or Port Harcourt before, but now, unfortunately, all the states, are suffering from these people called the land grabbers, even here in Osun State, and they can be violent if actually you are not dancing to their tune. Land Use Act of 1978 due for review, and despite laws like the Lagos State Property Protection Law 2015, and the Ogun State Prohibition of Forcible Occupation of Landed Properties, Armed Robbery, Kidnapping, Courtesan, and other anti-violent and related offences law, which was formulated in 2016, land grabbing remains a menace. And I dare say that is 100. Very correct. And of course, you have the picture of a lush green property here. Moving on, 2 students nabbed for faking own kidnap in Lagos. These are the ones that are, pulling back the wheel of progress in the fight against terrorism. For what? You already know. Population of displaced children hits 1.8 million. That's the future of a country. In fact, 1.8 million is more than the size of many countries, by the way. How Nigerian Army will fish out killers of 17 soldiers by GOC 6th Division. Delta Assembly orders Obrewori to investigate Okwama killing. CBN Agri Fund. Nexim pushes recovery as federal government moves to weed out fake farmers. Stop interfering. NLC doesn't own LP. Aburi tells Ajero. Stakeholders seek action against Nigeria's $10 billion yearly procurement fund. Strategy issues between 2 jolly allies before, but it seems the center is no longer holding. The NLC went to picket Labour Party Secretariat earlier in the week, and now the leadership, led by Mr. Abure, the chairman of the Labour Party, is threatening brimstone and fire and telling Abure, though, if you have ambition, do it and don't interfere with the running of the Labour Party.
Femi, I think this whole issue started in the last couple of months. Abure has been in the eye of the storm. Don't forget, after the election, he had it struggled out against Lamidi Apapa, who claimed to be the factional leader of the Labour Party. But that aside, a couple of weeks ago, there are reports of Abure mismanaging campaign funds, belonging to the Labour Party. And the last one was the issue of the National Convention that he just announced, and the grounds of the NLC is that he did not carry all the stakeholders along. And from reports and from findings, we know NLC, the Nigerian Labour Congress, was very instrumental in the formation of Labour Party in Nigeria. As a matter of fact, that's why they have the name Labour Party. But I feel Aburi this time around just need to understand that with the picture of someone like Peter Obi that came into the party for 2023 election, a couple of people actually felt, okay, maybe Labour Party would be something different from PDP, APC that we've known before. But if he's coming out with this, if we are having allegations of corruption today, you spend campaign money today, you are not carrying stakeholders along for you. You don't own the party, even if you are the national chairman. You don't own the party. There are stakeholders. There's neck of the party. There is board of trustee. As they are state chairman that should be party to, okay, So we want to have, I mean, a national convention at so particular location. You don't just and pick. So I feel for both NLC and Labour Party, they should handle this maturely. NLC cannot add another war with Labour Party to what they are fighting already. They are almost at war with the federal government, you know. Every now and then we want to go on strike, want to do this, want to do that. I think it is high time we intelligently settle our issues. These are grown-up men. You don't have to start.
Well, you mean we? Why are you referring
as a
to?
nation? That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
There are a lot of issues that we've talked about. As a nation, we need to start handling issues intelligently.
Right.
I mean, recent time, I've not seen elections will be going on in America later on this year. We've seen both the Democrats, the Republican conducted, you know, their primaries, and I don't think I've seen situations whereby, you know, people begin to get physical against themselves. I think we need to grow. We are a democratic nation that a couple of other African nations are looking up to. So we should lead by example. They want to learn from us, and they should truly learn something good from us.
That's right. That's all.
All right, from there we move over to Nigerian Tribune for today. On Nigerian Tribune, GOC, soldiers to remain in the creeks until that's relating to the Okwama killings. Delta governor cautions traditional rulers against shielding suspects. The story is on page 2. And FG unveils mines marshals to secure mining sites. Let court decide who is a terrorist sponsor, says Gumi. Meta to introduce monetization features for Nigerian creators on Instagram in June. Amotekun foils robbery attempt in Ondo, arrests 1. 20 states failed to submit report on state police. 36 states FCT owe 1.7 trillion naira in budget support. 1 billion liters of petrol smuggled out to benefit those not paying tax, says federal government. And let's look at the top corner. But before then, Nigeria to grow FX reserve to $35 billion by end of March. This is according to CBN. Nigeria not owing foreign airlines $700 million. This is according to Nanta. And FBN Holdings appoint 5 new directors as Otedola takes over. Page 7 of the Nigerian Tribune. And top strip, no respite for poultry farmers as product scarcity, rising costs persist. Nashima kicks over CBN's lift of FX access for importation of milk, dairy products, says new policy will discourage local production. And Al-Rufai's visit to SDP stars debate as ex-governor hosts NSA. We know the former governor of Kaduna State has been missing in action since he couldn't pull through. Since that time, he couldn't pull through the ministerial screening, but he's coming back, and you know, his visit to the secretariat of the SDP is stirring controversy amongst the people. But then, Ladeji, let's take up this comment. I mean, I read some part of a statement. Sheikh Gumi saying, let the court decide who is a terrorist sponsor. I just need your take. Remember that a list was actually released by the NFIU recently, 15 names, some names private, individual, and some bureau de change. But now Gumi is saying, let the courts decide who is a terrorist, because chief on those lists, on that particular list rather, is Tuko Mamu. And Gumi is saying this case is in court, so why not allow the court to tell us if he is indeed a terrorist financier or not?
Well, Evelyn, Nigeria is just an uncommon place. An uncommon place that we give relevance to someone that should not have the relevance too much. Someone like Gumi would be contesting what the federal government says. Sheikh Gumi, over the years, has shown that he's a terrorist sympathizer. That's just the reality. And I think he had it so smooth under Buhari, you know. But I think the federal government need to speak to him in a language he would understand. You do not have the legitimacy. The federal government might have done, and don't forget, it's not only the federal government. Was it the Saudi government that released a list during Buhari's regime, that these are the people sponsoring. UAE, thank you. UAE released the list. Remember David Odeyi, also the investigative journalist, did something about people sponsoring terrorists. So if all these things brought together, this is the same you that knows how to take ransom to, bandits. Just last week he was saying the federal government should come to you, you know how to take them to, who are you? The question is, see, we need to stop giving people like this relevance. If the federal government were to be serious, when we tackle this insecurity, people like him will not be able to feed fat on him, on the issue of security. So I think the federal government just needs to put him in his place. Let him know you do not have any rights.
But you do not think he has a point? I mean, this case is in court.
Evelyn,
Why would you name someone?
This is the same Nigeria that someone that was caught on video collecting bribe will go to court and ask the court to stop his probe. So if you are listed as a terrorist sympathizer, the only thing you can do is, okay, sue the federal government. Sue the federal government. It is not in Gumi's place to come out and say this person is the federal government. If the federal government doesn't have whatever to defend themselves, they won't say you are. And as a matter of fact, they did not mention only the guy's name. They mentioned a couple of other names.
You don't think this is media trial? Because Gumi says this is more like a media trial. They should take them to court.
You brought a security expert to the studio last week, and he spoke about the back end of these kidnappers, these bandits. Me, I'm looking at them, these are guys that literally they don't have 100,000 naira in their account. But they collect, imagine the last kidnap issue we had, they are asking for ransoms in billions of naira. I think I had one, maybe trillion or
40 trillion.
40 trillion naira. Now you ask yourself, who are the ones spending this money? Who are the ones spending this money? Right. So it is not about just Gumi questioning the federal government. It is about the federal government putting him in his place. If the federal government have a case against those people, take them to court, do whatever you need to do, but make sure we settle the issue of banditry. Make sure we settle the issue of terrorism. Right. In the space of 2 weeks, Kaduna, Sokoto, other states have really been attacked, and you are talking about someone in court, just a single person because he's your friend or your ally.
All right, thank you so much, Ladaji, for that submission.
Thank you for your take, as always.
Thank you, Femi.
This is where we'll put the brakes. When we come back, we speak right to this issue of terror financing, the list that we just paraphrase right now. Some of them have some appellations to why they are there, at least with what we are seeing, as that list released by the Nigeria Sanctions Committee. We'll look into that and more. And this matter will be spoken to by somebody who truly has the knowledge of what we are talking about. Please stay with us. You're welcome back to Morning Spring, and the conversation is about security in our land. The spate of kidnappings, abductions, armed robbery, terror acts, especially, is not new in Nigeria per se. For more than a decade, Nigeria has been entangled with this challenge, and at a time, different dispensations from the time of Goodluck Jonathan to the late Umaru Musa Yar'Adua to Goodluck Jonathan. In fact, some even said it as old as the time of the former head of state and former President General Obasanjo, down to President Muhammadu Buhari, now President Tinubu. This challenge has been there. At some point, it will appear like we are making a progress from the northeast. At a time, kidnappings, abductions, insurgency, you could peg it to only the northeastern part of the country. But later, it snowballed and, transcended to other parts of the country. In fact, the northwest, the north central, Most of those places are no-go area. There's some communities that are deserted because of the actions of these evil people, these criminals called bandits, terrorists, abductors, insurgents, call them what you may. They are criminals wreaking havoc on the Nigerian state, attacking institutions of the state, attacking innocent people, making many persons to be internally displaced, even in their own country. And now, many persons have been wondering, who are these people? What do they want? Who are their financiers? Who are their supporters? You recall, under former President Buhari, there was a time that the government of the UAE sent a list and said these individuals are the financiers of terror in Nigeria. I remember the former Minister of Information, Lai Mohammed, coming out to say in due course they would make that list public. Till he left, the administration climaxed and they left. Nothing was done. A few days ago, a document leaked, purportedly leaked by the NFIU and the Nigerian Sanction Committee. Now, we had some names that were there to say these are the names of terror financiers, not just individuals, even businesses, bureau de change operators that were there. And now, a document obtained from the Nigeria Sanctions Committee website showed that 21 individuals that were listed, that has 16 individuals and companies. Now, there is this one, the document obtained from the Nigeria Sanctions Committee. NSC, if our producer can just put that up. Website showed that 21 individuals and 6 entities were attacked as financiers of terrorism. Leading the list is a Kaduna-based publisher, Tukur Mamu, who is being tried by the federal government for allegedly aiding terrorists who attacked the Abuja-Kaduna train years ago. They are not, it's not only Tukur Mamu that is there. And a particular media outlet tried to have something around these individuals. Number one, I'll just read it out as I will welcome my guest to speak on this matter. Abdusamat Ohida. Ohida is being designated because the subject is a senior commander, Quaid, of the Islamic State of West African Province in Okene. He is the suspected attacker, emphasis on the word suspected attacker, of the St. Francis Catholic Church or war and the Kuje Correctional Center. We have Mohammed Sani. The reason for his designation as a terrorist financer is due to his membership to the terrorist group Ansaru Muslimina bi Biladi Sudam Ansaru, and the group is associated with Al-Qaeda. And then there is Abdurrahman. Abdurrahman is said to be a senior commander, Quahid of ISWAP in Okene. Okene is in Kogi State. We have Fatima Ishak, and the subject is a financier courier to ISWAP in Okene too. She's responsible for the disbursement of funds for the widows' wives of the terrorist fighters of the group. Then Tukur Mamu, that I mentioned earlier, is no stranger to the news, where the federal government said Tukur Mamu participated in the financing of terrorism by receiving and delivering ransom payment over the sum of $200,000 in support of ISWAP terrorists for the release of hostages of the Abuja-Kaduna train. Then Yusuf Ghazali, Mohammed Sani, Abubakar Muhammad, Salamuddin Hassan, Adamu Ishaq, Hassana Isa, many names. And then for the BDCs, we have West and East African General Trading Company, Settings Bureau de Change, G-Side General Enterprises, Desert Exchange Ventures, Eagle Square General Trading Company Limited, Alpha Exchange BDC. Many of those persons are being alleged to be involved in terrorism financing. To shed more light and give us a sense of what we are dealing with, we are being joined by a professor of counseling and criminal justice at the Institute of Peace and Strategic Studies, University of Ibadan. Of course, he's a security scholar, Professor Oyesoji Aremu. He joins us via phone. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. What do you make of this list of individuals and companies alleged to be involved in terror financing? As seen from the Nigeria sanctions list, as seen from what a list that has been adduced to the NFIU, although there are some insinuations, some quarters that the NFIU has said, no, they didn't release that list. but it is what it is right now. What do you make of this, Lisa?
Well, thank you so much. I think the federal government has done very well by releasing the names of individuals and below they change groups who are allegedly said to be financing terrorism in Nigeria and by extension outside Nigeria, because the issue of terrorism is not localized. As a matter of fact, it has to do with what operates outside the country, like some terrorism organizations outside Nigeria. So if we talk about the list of the names of these individuals and companies, it shows that the federal government is taking the battle or the war against terrorism much more seriously, and this should be commended. Whether we like it or not, the last couple of months in Nigeria have been very harrowing when it comes to the question of terrorism, violence, kidnap, and mass abduction of students and individuals in the country.
All right. And, you know, just like you said, many persons, in my introduction, I said, this is not new. There was a time that another government sent a list to our own government under the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari, and then we didn't hear anything. Many persons believed it should have been made public. In fact, the Minister of Information then, Lai Mohammed, promised the people and said, in due course, at the right time, it will be made public. Till he and the administration left, it wasn't made public. Now that we are seeing this one, many persons are arguing, Prof, that maybe this is just a small screen. Maybe there are other individuals, or maybe, you know, there's this distrust between the people and the government. There are some persons that have been saying maybe this is just the government giving the people something to talk about. That maybe these individuals, is either there are more to them or they are not the real guys we are looking for. What's your take on that?
I think we should take this step further to the administration of Goodluck Jonathan.
Okay.
If you could recollect, then he even said within the presidency, there are elements of Boko Haram. In other words, there are individuals in the administration who are either directly or indirectly supporting terrorism in Nigeria. I want to say supporting, by extension, we're talking also of financing terrorism. Of course, like as I've said, during the period of last president, Muhammadu Buhari as well, this was also probably in the public domain. And I quite agree with you that other than the list, or one of the list released, there could be more individuals. But you recall also sometime couple of months ago, this administration said it was not willing to release the names of these individuals. Releasing the names, I think, is a first step which could probably mitigate the question of terrorism in Nigeria. Because releasing the names talking about what we call insecurity circle or criminology as shaming. When you shame an individual, it's possible the individual might change. Because shaming will lead to remorse. And exactly that is what is now happening, that some individuals, especially Chief Gomi, is now crying foul that it's not proper to release the names of terrorism financiers in the country.
You know, and when we talk about, for proper context, this terror act is one that has wreaked havoc on people's homes, people's dreams.
Sorry, I can't hear you too.
All right, can you hear me correctly now?
Yes, now.
All right, thank you, sir. This terror act, you know, the effect on the people over the years cannot be overemphasized, from the Yahya bombing to, you know, bombing and desecration of religious places, IDP camps, abductions, series of abductions of school children, pupils. In fact, in Kuriga, in Kajuru, just a few days ago, there have still been abductions. From the time, even more than a decade, many houses have been thrown into pains. You know, even the institutions of the state have been attacked repeatedly. Military, you know, formations have been attacked by these individuals. At some point, it appears like we were helpless. Now that we have these people, what do we do with them? Are they the only one? And just like Sheikh Gumi said a few days ago, and we look into that, maybe we just do that right now, that he is saying, is it right for the government to come out and designate some persons as financiers? What is the proof that is only the court that has the authority to designate individuals after proper investigation as terror financiers? And he made case for his friend Gumi and say he's not just saying this because, I mean, Tuko Mamu, to say he's not just saying this because he knows Tuko, because the person was involved in, you know, negotiation of the release of hostages. Why should they name him, you know, as a terror financier, knowing fully well that his case is in court? Where do we go from here, sir?
Thank you so much. You have raised so many things, and from this can be taken from different perspectives. Of course, it's so bad if you look at the we got to profile the cases or issues of terrorism in Nigeria, dated back to many years, as far as the year 2009. So many things have happened in Nigeria: bombing, kidnapping, mass abduction, maybe so many things. And some individuals have been fingered as to involve in it. Apart from the financing of terrorism, we have had cases of members of individuals, names that have been mentioned, who are kingpins of terrorism in Nigeria. But the wherewithal on the part of the government has not been there to be able to deal decisively with the issue. And the more reason why we have more of these things going about in Nigeria. And I must say that some individuals are benefiting hugely from the issue of terrorism in Nigeria. Even talking about individuals, procurement, talking about they want to get arms and ammunition and so on and so forth. Some people do not want this thing to go away. The more we have the issue of terrorism in Nigeria, the more they are smiling to the bank. And I must say also that as much as possible, these individuals that have been arrested or probably in the custody, the government of the country too has not been able to come out and say, what do we do with these individuals? And in some cases, we have the opportunity and say that they will be rehabilitated. And this and other things really making war against terrorism or fighting terrorism not to be yielding any results.
All right, thank you so much, Professor. And you will agree that in that particular list, the chief of the names there, I mean, the one that people know is Chuko Mamu. And Sheikh Ahmed Gumi has said that you do not bring these names to the public for medial trial. If you know they have done what is wrong, why not just prosecute them and let the court be the one to name them or to find them guilty of the charge, instead of bringing them to the public space and allowing their names to be soiled, because they are not to be declared guilty unless the court of law says so. What's your take on that? Do you think this, like what Femi said earlier, do you think this is more like a smoke screen from the federal government just to distract the people from some, you know, matters that are on ground right now on this naming of financiers of terrorism?
Yes, thank you. I think the government, as I said, has done very well. The government is not saying they are guilty. The government does release the names of the supposed or alleged financier of terrorism in Nigeria. Yeah, there are one or two cases in court, as said by the Sheikh Gumi. I read what he said in online, And if you look at the antecedent of Gumi himself, we will say himself is not even an individual to be trusted when it comes to the issue of terrorism in Nigeria. When we have cases of kidnapping or mass abduction, he is always the first to say that he wants to negotiate. So that is a cause for some concern. So for him to have publicly talking about in support that the government has done wrong in releasing the names, he says, to raise some concerns and questions of intelligence. Of course, and government knows about it. So what I'm saying is that government has not done anything wrong. The case of cases are still in court. Government is now saying that given the intelligence, these are the individuals and groups of companies that are said to be allegedly financing terrorism. So it's not left for the court to so decide. It's not a question of media trial in any way. But as I said the other time, that he said is shaming. Then the individuals now have the right to prove this in court to say it's not so. I think Alhaji Gumi or Sheikh Gumi, I don't know, I think Sheikh Gumi, yes, should take it easy. He should align himself with the federal government in starting out the issue of case of terrorism in Nigeria, rather than public speaking in a way in favor of terrorism in this country.
All right, amazing. But then there are people who do not actually trust this particular list. They say there should be more names, and these people are just like scapegoats. These are not really the ones that finance. I mean, these are just rumors and hearsays. But then I'd like to have your take on that. Do you think
Yes. Can you repeat that, please, Adika?
Yes, I said there are people who think these names that we have, they are just, they are not really the real ones, the financiers of terrorism. These are just scapegoats, used by the federal government just to make people think they are working or they got this under control. Do you think there are more names? There may be more names, when it comes to financing of terrorism in Nigeria, bigger names that people may know, but the federal government is putting it, discreetly, not, bringing it out for the people.
Yes, of course there are more names. You see, we've been having issues of terrorism for years in this country. So more than the names that were released, of course there will be more names. You see, the agency working on this, it's a work in progress. Let me put it that way. It's not as if they've finished profiling some individuals or companies in Nigeria or even outside that are financing terrorism. So we're talking about, so far they released a list. So there will be other names in which they must be public profiling for them to be able to know whether they are involved or not. So don't be surprised that in the next couple of weeks, more names will be released.
And, let me go back to this release of these names, Prof. One will say the kind of prosecution we do in Nigeria here and how we do it at times is what makes, people with deep cases or deep facts around them that have cases to answer. That's the kind of prosecution that we do that makes them to escape, from prosecution or escape through the courts because we don't pay attention.
Hello, sorry. Can you please repeat that again? I'm having issues with the quality of a voice here.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right, thank you. There are many persons and which would say that the kind of prosecution we do here, I'm talking about the Nigeria kind of prosecution, that it leaves much to be desired. That most of the times we don't get our facts right, we don't build our cases. Our prosecuting agencies will rather rush to the press or come out to the public to release some names when you don't have whatever it takes to really nail those individuals. And I'm saying this, that how about the government conserving this particular list? Because there are many persons who are saying let them have all it takes. Let them have their facts casted in stone, that the moment they release the list and go to court, you know, they have everything needed to prosecute those cases. There are many cases of EFCCs, ICPCs, that many big names have escaped from, because there are some lacunas, there are some loopholes that are not filled. Instead, the prosecuting agencies will rush to the public to release the names, and these suspects know how they escape from these. Why don't we just, you know, the moment you are releasing the names, we take them to the court and prosecute them? That's the way it's done. If the FBI have a case against you, they won't come out to the public to list your name. They can go years after years, you know, to establish their fact. The moment they are sure, they approach the court, you are charged to the court, and the prosecution starts, and it is completed. Why don't we do that in Nigeria instead of just churning out names into the public when some of these individuals can still escape?
Thank you so much. I think in a way that position is correct, I must say, because you just give an example of FBI. FBI and other places will not rush out to release names. As a matter of fact, they must have done the whole work very well. It is where the cases are in the law court that we get to know about the names. That is true. But I must say here that you will agree with me that the last couple of weeks, only 2 months now, this administration has been in a very serious trouble when it comes to the issue of violence and terrorism in Nigeria. In point of fact, this is on the increase, I must say, and because of that, again, the government seems to be in a hurry, no doubt about that, releasing the names. But we must give it to the government, as I said the other time, that releasing the names is a first step in shaming the individual. Then that depends on the guy to prove, say, no, this is not correct. Why, of course, the prosecution continues. So I will expect the federal government through the Office of the Administrator of the Federation to quickly take the matter up and begin the prosecution of these individuals. And of course, as you have said, some of these individuals, including companies, probably have not been public as to come. I don't want to use the word arrest. So I think in this way, it could lead to a kind of a lacuna in making such people, if they are guilty, and if they know they have cases to answer, to run away. And I also believe also, by the time the government release these names, of course, the network must have been around the individuals in order to allow them to escape the criminal justice in the country.
And, you know, this, I'm still, you know, not like trying to play the devil's advocate here, but these individuals that their names have been released and they are not yet charged, because we are not, apart from Tuko Mamu, that we are sure he was extradited from, you know, from Egypt back to Nigeria, and his case is in court now. Other individuals who are not sure, are we not impugning on their rights? Because no matter how hard the evidences are against these individuals and these corporate entities, it's only the court of law, according to the laws of our lands, that has the authority to pronounce somebody as criminals and state it as it is. Are we not, as a law-abiding nation, you know, impugning on the human right of these individuals by calling them and tagging them as terror financiers? And I think that's the case that Sheikh Gumi is making. That is
no, I don't think that we are impugning that the government is putting on their rights. I said it, if they still talk about it, that their rights have been violated, they themselves have the right to sue the federal government and claim damages of libel. They can do that. But I'm sure of one thing, that the government will not have rushed to the press to release the names if the government is not sure of its facts. But with that, if these individuals feel their rights have been violated or imposed upon, they have the right to approach the law court to say, my rights have been violated. This is libelous. So they have the right to do so. So I think think we should leave the matter as it is, but what we should encourage the federal government to do is to really go ahead and pursue the case, this matter, and not just release this kind of say, okay, no, we release the names of the public domain. Beyond releasing the names in the public domain, what have you done? That will serve as deterrence to others who might be contemplating or who are in need and have not been caught.
Yeah, you know, I had to ask you that because you are the professor of criminal justice here, and I'm sure you know more than we do about these things. And, you know, before my colleague will come here, the character, the personality called Sheikh Gumi, of course, he's a Nigerian. He is a cleric, and then, you know, he has his right to say in as much is permitted by the law. But many persons are finding it difficult that this individual, you know, albeit very influential, has not been called to question. You know, it might not be an arrest. It might just be because it appears like he knows more about these people, these bandits, these insurgents. We've seen videos of him. In fact, he does videos whenever he goes into these people's camps, and he even comes out to say, I've seen them, I've talked with them, he makes cases for them. Many persons see him as bandit and insurgent apologist, and that maybe there is what he knows that can help the government. But we have not heard for one day that he has ever been, you know, called to question. And he gives, you know, it appears like whenever there is an abduction, whenever there is a serious siege on abductors' camp, he comes out to say, you should not go kinetic with them, just negotiate, listen to them, provide hospitals for them. How is it difficult to call Sheikh Gumi to question all these years?
You see, the question of the personality of Sheikh Gumi is a very serious one. And the last two administrations did not have the guts, did not have the power, did not have the wherewithal to be able to call Sheikh Gumi to order.
Why?
As you have said, this is a personality that will tell you that he knows the individuals involved. When there's a case of kidnap anywhere, the person that I will talk is Sheikh Gumi. And he will go ahead to say that he died and why we did it. And if this is so, it shows one way or the other he is involved. I use the word one way or the other, I'm not saying he's involved. And that is said is he or he himself should be called and asking questions. If you know where over 287 children are kept, and government is fighting, government is lamenting, parents of these children are lamenting, the future of these children and in jeopardy, they are not in school, and somebody is somewhere in the public where everybody knows where he is. He said he knows them, and the government has not called him. If an ordinary Nigerian should do that, the government will call and say, come, the data will come, let's have some chat with you. But this has not happened. So it shows that this man seems to have a kind of a larger-than-life attitude, personality in this country. And we need that government that will also take the bull by the horn and call it. Let us discuss.
Yes.
You cannot say you are involved.
Yeah.
You say you know all these things. Okay, how do we go about it? The one you have done in the past, negotiating with the bandits in the past, what happens? What comes to you? So it's a way also of indirect way of financing terrorism. So that's my take on this.
Prof, why do you think this is so? You said previous government have not been able to, you know, call him to question. Why? Is he more Nigerian than other Nigerians? Do you have an idea?
It's not more Nigerian than other Nigerians. It shows the previous government do not have that confidence. And it's a way of failing in their responsibility as a government. As I said, who does that? You have an individual who is claiming, he's not saying it discreetly, he's saying it publicly, I know these people. As the government and the commander-in-chief, the president, you have the right to say, come, talk to that man, profile that man. And once they profile, they know who he is. So I think the issue is the government do not have the courage The government, you know how to call it, I repeat it. And I want this government not to repeat the same mistake of the past administration of this matter.
All right, Prof, when you said the government didn't have the courage, doesn't that mean the government, with all of, you know, what it has, talk about the military, the intelligence unit, and everything within its, you know, within its power, is weak? Does that mean that the Nigerian state is weak if the government doesn't have the courage to call to order someone who is seen as a terrorist sympathizer, a terrorist apologist?
Yeah, again, I repeat it without emphasis. The courage is not there, and the government is not ready to do the needful. You see, if another individual, another percentage of Sheriff Dome should do that, the DSS will call him. The office of justice will say, go after this man. They're not saying he's guilty of what he's saying, but invite let's have chance with this individual.
So what does Sheikh Ahmed Gumi has on the government? Why is it that they do not have the courage?
I think it's only the government and people in the accounts that will answer that question. Because what we are discussing this morning, I'm very sure it's being discussed in the security circle. I'm very sure. But you see, we have a country and we have a country. We have some Nigerians and have some Nigerians. I will say I'm not more than that.
All right, so we have actually seen or heard Sheikh Ahmed Gumi say that these terrorists, these bandits, should be treated like the Niger Delta militants. It said they are fighting for their own cause, and so the government should grant them amnesty. What's your take on this? Do you think this makes sense from what's coming from Ahmed Gumi?
Let's take our step back to the case of Alhaji Shehu Musaya Najwa. That was when we had the cases of issues of people from Niger Delta.
Yes.
Then we had serious issues there. Their whole issue was ideologically driven. But at the point, the government engaged in negotiating with these individuals. And you were surprised the kind of cachet of arms and ammunition they brought out. They said they are no longer fighting, they're no longer fighting, they're no longer waging war of their ideology against the country. They surrender after each negotiation with them. So it's not the same thing. Now we have these ones who have bandits in different groups.
Okay.
Which group will you discuss with? That's the first question. In different who is that will you discuss with? That's the second question. Their own is not athletically driven. It's just say, look, we do this, and when we do this, we want money. So it's not the same thing. For those individuals in Niger Delta years back, they were giving amnesty, and thereafter things have changed. I will not say totally, but in a way things have changed significantly in the country, in that part of the country. And of course, as a doctor, and you see what happened after the life of Atari Kubo and so on, that becomes non-state owned, what call it, state actor, non-state actors. But for these bandits, we have their leader. Are you talking of Al-Qaeda or ISWAP? Are you talking of what happened in the Sahel region? But what happened in the Sahel region is an indirect of what is happening in Nigeria. So who do you offer amnesty to? And the ones they have arrested, and they say that they are trying to de-radicalize, we feel that after the de-radicalization processes, they go back to the vomit. And they now need to what we call recidivism in criminology. So these are issues. They are not the same.
All right. You know, you're telling us those making cases for bandits and terrorists, you know, likening them to what happened with the amnesty program granted by the late Umaru Musa Harudua, you know, to those agitators, saying it's not exactly the same thing, but it is what it is. Two quick questions. We have less than 3 minutes to go. Number one, where do we go from here? Then number two, I would like to have you are a security scholar. We don't have your type of experience every day. So let's maximize this. There was a carnage in Okwama last week, and since then, killing of soldiers and officers, very highly placed individuals in a community. Everybody has been condemning it, but now it is being reported this morning that Okwama women, there has been a siege in that community and other communities by the Nigerian military. Okwama women is being reported in the Vanguard. Children have been trapped in forests for days. Those that have been trying to run away from those villages because of reprisal attack. Starvation is looming in Igbomaturu, in Bayelsa, over military siege. Neighboring communities are even refusing to accept Okwama residents because nobody wants to associate with them. The soldiers have been killed gruesomely, and that act stands condemned. But the way the military have been going about this thing, what's your take on that? Quickly.
Oh, thank you so much. On the first question, I think the government should wake up. Let me wake up. And let the just see that the government being very, very responsible and leading the war against terrorism. Because I must tell you, things are not just going the way it should go. It's a part of the country when it comes to the issue of terrorism, mass attack and school attack and mass adoption. So I think the government needs to do more about that. Charge those people involved, and of course, there must be a review of the criminal justice. When it comes to punishment that is given to people found to have really waged war against this country, terrorism against this country.
Yeah.
Very, very important. Number two, on the case, talking about what happened in last week, quite unfortunate that these individuals would have to do that against Nigerian soldiers and officers. Too bad a thing to do, I must say. But I think I want to advise that the Nigerian army should take it easy. So what happened in OD, during the addition of President Ambassador will not repeat itself. For the mere fact that students are not able to access school is worrisome to me, because we're talking about the photo of innocent children. For the mere fact that even the agents and people like that are not able to get food to eat, it's also a question of worry. Because we're talking of individuals who have done this, is not have escaped the community. So we should be able to probably do this very well. So that is why the army needs to be careful. Then again, the people in that community have been stigmatized already, have been labeled already, and this is not good for their psychology. Thank you, sir.
All right, Professor Oyesoji Aremu is a professor of counseling and criminal justice at the Institute of Peace and Strategic Studies at the Premier University of Ibadan. He's a security scholar. Thank you, Prof, for your time and take today.
You're welcome, please.
A pleasure. Thank you. And that's the conversation.
Thank you.
The Prof has said we must be serious. We must take it further because things are not getting better as far as security is concerned.
It's just in reiterating what Nigerians have said over and over and over again. If we want this terrorism to die down, we must put in the necessary work. The government must ensure that they are not only talking tough, but they are walking their talks, because it's not
and
just...
the political will.
Exactly, the political will. You heard when he said the past administrations before now, they didn't have the courage to pull through. This new administration of President Bola Tinubu, we hope that the courage is there, and whatever it is that Sheikh Ahmed Gumi has on the government, we hope that holds.
It appears so.
Yes, you know, because I don't understand why, like he said, like the professor said, why someone like that would not be called to question, since he knows so much.
To even help.
Exactly, so much. So our fingers are always crossed, and we're looking towards forward to the future, and we hope that we get it right as a nation.
That's right. We must go. Thank you for being with us all week. This is what we do here at this time, 7 a.m. every weekday, and this is the last one for this week. Please, let's make sure you are your neighbor's keeper. You are your brothers, in this case, sisters, keeper here. The lady in red, you know, having the best day of the week to yourself today. Femi Ojo is my name. Please do well to follow us on all our social media platforms, on Instagram, on X, and on Facebook, and on YouTube as well. You have the address only on your screen at Western Spring Television. Western Spring Television. Leave us a comment, like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. And of course, we are on channel 190 on Star Times DTT. God bless Nigeria. Have a wonderful weekend.
All right, my name is Evelyn Ohiolei. Stay tuned for Spring Trends coming right after this broadcast.